Yes, I do. Although there will be less pressure to do it now that he's no longer a candidate for attorney general. Matt had alienated so many people on both sides of the aisle that we expected quite a few Republican votes to actually see the report. It's less important now unless he decides to come back. And he won the election. He resigned from this Congress, but he hasn't
Yeah.
resigned from the next Congress yet. So this may be not moot yet.
Well, so Congressman, is it your understanding that he could just simply take that seat? Does he have to take the seat in order to then resign it? So does he have to show up on January 3rd? Just what exactly is the procedure here?
Kaylee, good question. And we relied on Joe Morelli, who's the Democrat who leads the House Administration Committee. And he basically said, we don't know. We've not really been in this position before. But it's not clear that he can resign a seat that he's not been sworn into yet. But if he doesn't show up, what happens then? In any case, I think an awful lot of people think that whether he serves or not, that the people have a right to know what that ethics report says. And certainly that's the way I will vote to release it.
We did hear from the aforementioned Sean Casten in a statement following the news of Matt Gaetz's withdrawal. While I welcome the news, he says, it remains important that the Gaetz report be made available to the American people. If he's not serving in Congress, Don Beyer, why would that be?
Well, part of it, Joe, is the larger picture that we have Pete Hegseth also, credibly accused of rape. We have some, I think it's in the double digits numbers of cabinet and sub-cabinet officials that are circulating right now that have had charges of sexual assault, including RFK Jr. That this seems to be the new qualification for Trump cabinet. I think the more we address this directly, and hopefully with the clear message that we want people who are have high integrity, that treat women with respect, treat each other with respect, should be part of what it means to be a cabinet member in this United States.
Well, and as we think about women here in particular, Congressman, I'm sure you've seen, as many of us had, the reports, the police reports specifically of the incident in 2017, allegations of sexual assault regarding a different cabinet nominee, the defense secretary designate Pete Hegseth. Now that some of the scrutiny will be taken off of Matt Gaetz, since he's withdrawn himself from consideration, it could put a greater spotlight on that individual in particular. Do you expect he will face an uphill battle to Senate confirmation over some of these very same issues you were just alluding to?
Very much so, Kaylee. And it begins with the sexual assault allegations, some of his family past. But it's going to quickly move on to the fact that a National Guardsman with service overseas, which we very much respect, has never managed an organization more than 30 people, moving on to one of the largest and most complicated organizations in the world. When you move in somebody like Lloyd Austin or Jim Mattis, who have managed in the tens of thousands, the hundreds of thousands, that's a very different set of management and leadership skills than what Pete Hegseth has shown us so far. And what we mostly know of him is his advocacy for returning a Navy SEAL badge to somebody who shot a handcuffed man in the back of the head and was convicted of murder.
I don't know anything about that, Congressman, but I do want to ask you about the looming choice for Treasury Secretary. Is this something that you're concerned about because it's taken so long, even though we're pretty early in the game here, but following the names that you've seen already, a lot of folks with the aim of torching the agency that they've been put in charge of have been named by Donald Trump to the joy of many of his supporters. Are we going to get a name like that for Treasury based on who you're hearing?
Joe, my great concern is that not so much that a Treasury Secretary will try to tear down the U.S. dollar, but rather that he or she will buy into the Trump commitment to 10 and 20% tariffs on every one of our trading partners and 60% plus on the Chinese. We've already discovered the American people hate inflation, and yet he's about to do the most inflationary thing possible, which is drive up consumer prices all across our country. It'd be wonderful if you would appoint a Treasury Secretary who would be a constraint on really bad economic policy that's coming out of the 2025 playbook and out of Donald Trump.